We welcome you to the inaugural Myrtle Beach Invitational, part of Feast Week on ESPN, presented by Lowe's, and it's part of 104 college hoops games to tip off this holiday season. We've got a doubleheader for you tonight from the HTC Center on the campus of Coastal Carolina. First up, quarterfinal action between the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers and the Valparaiso Crusaders. We have West Virginia and Monmouth coming up after this, but earlier today, St. Joe's and UCF both advancing to the semifinals with easy victories. And that sets up our night session from inside the HTC Center alongside Debbie Antonelli. I'm Rich Hollenberg. Debbie, Western Kentucky tonight comes in preseason #1 in Conference USA, and wouldn't you know it, they are led by a fabulous freshman.
Boy, he is a big guy in the middle at 6'11". We're talking about Charles Bassey. He's got a 7'3" wingspan. He runs the floor hard, rim to rim. He blocks shots, and he posts up hard, which really helps create space for the terrific length on the perimeter and their ability to play in the dribble drive.
Bassey will be in the starting lineup tonight. As we take a look at the rest of the starters for Rick Stansbury's Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, Jared Savage is in there along with Josh Anderson, a new point guard for him this season. Tavion Hollingsworth is their leading scorer, and Deshaun Murray, a grad transfer from Auburn, rounds out the first five for the Hilltoppers, who control the opening tip. Your Valpo opening five, led by a freshman, Javon Freeman. He's been their leading scorer, only one game into the season.
Trying to get Bassey started early. You see the help pinch in from the weak side, and that allows Tavion Hollingsworth to be wide open.
Hollingsworth right on the money in his first attempt. He was a freshman captain a year ago. First time that ever happened at Western Kentucky.
Just a sophomore, leads him in scoring early on with 18 points a game.
And Valpo comes up empty on their first offensive possession. Here's Hollingsworth. He can score it at all three levels.
He's got a great bounce to his game. He's quick. He's got a great release.
Deshaun Murray's first shot off the mark. And here comes Freeman.
Freeman didn't practice yesterday, suffering from some flu-like symptoms, but he did go through shoot around, and it's great to see him back. We'll see if that impacts his minutes early on, because he leads them in scoring early in the season as well, Rich.
Western Kentucky playing 2 games prior to this. They won their last one against UT Martin at home in Bowling Green. They lost their season opener on the road in Seattle against a good Washington Huskies team, where they led by 9 at the break and ended up getting drilled by 18. Final score was 73-55.
It's a good piece of officiating early to take the 2 big guys, the 7-footers, and tell them, you know, clean it up on the inside. We're not going to put up with any extra stuff early in the game.
There's some notable big guys in this tournament here in Myrtle Beach. Taco Fall, 7'6" from UCF. And here's Bassey with his first touch, and he turns it over. Another freshman. That's Javon Freeman, and he's got the first 2 of the game for Valpo.
Valpo brings the help immediately on the pass, trying to turn Bassey into a passer, and it results in a nice turnover and an easy 2.
Here's Josh Anderson with the lob to Bassey, who comes up empty, but he's fouled by Smits. Well, Rick Stansbury, a master recruiter, turns 59 next month in his 17th season overall as a head coach, 3rd in Western Kentucky. He is a Kentucky native from Battletown, Kentucky, but spent most of his head coaching career as the head man at Mississippi State, and he has got a really strong recruiting class and has Western Kentucky back on the map. Bassey off the mark in his first free throw attempt.
Charles Bassey just turned 18 last week. The young man has tremendous length and skill. He's still learning the game. He's learning how to play with the pace at this level.
And they're spoon feeding him at this point, not giving him all that many looks in terms of being the focal point of the offense just yet, and yet he's averaging around a triple-double in his first 2 games.
You know, I'm keeping an eye on him, that right knee. He didn't warm up with a knee brace, but he came out to start the game with a knee brace on.
Here's Ryan Fazekas from the corner, and that is his specialty.
I'll tell you about Valpo now. They're going to shoot it, they're going to space it, they're going to be well prepared They'll make the extra pass. Matt Loddick does a terrific job teaching his team and getting them ready.
Loose ball. Hollingsworth comes away with it. Right to the 10, and another bucket for Tavion Hollingsworth, who has 5 early going.
Both teams start out in man-to-man defense. They're really trying to get Bassi involved in some ball screening action. That was a nice slip to the bucket, but they missed him.
Here's Bakari Evelyn, a deep 3 with 5 on the shot clock. And some hot shooting early from the Valpo Crusaders.
Really locked in on the defensive end as well.
Murray lost it. Valparaiso comes away with it, and here's Fazekas on the leak out. Fazekas with the left hand, and count it. A chance for a 3-point play for Ryan Fazekas.
Terrific job and great hustle by Valpo. They got numbers right here. Fazekas attacks Savage, who is on his heels. Great take and finish with the left.
Ryan Fazekas, after a couple of seasons at Providence playing for Ed Cooley, decided to come back home. Grew up in Chesterton, Indiana, about 10 miles from the Valpo campus. After sitting out a year, he is playing for his quote-unquote hometown team. He's an early 6 points, and Valpo has themselves a 5-point lead over the favored Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. As we mentioned, the Tops preseason #1 in Conference USA. And that is a big reason why, but it's waved off. Kelly Self says offensive foul on Western Kentucky.
What a terrific job by Ryan Fazekas, making a play on both ends of the floor. He steps in, takes a charge.
That's going to go on Josh Anderson, number 4 in white, a 6'6" sophomore out of Baton Rouge, who is making the transition, at least right now, to point guard for Rick Stansbury. Why is that?
That's because Lamonte Bearden is academically ineligible the first semester, so he will miss the first 9 games. He's not allowed to travel, but he is able to practice.
That's Deshaun Murray doing Deshaun Murray things. The offensive rebound and the putback, and a chance at a 3-point play.
Rich, we got to see a lot of Deshaun Murray last year at Auburn. He led Auburn in rebounding, 10 points a game, and most of his offense was without even making a post move. It was like this, offensive rebounding on the weak side with a nice head and shoulders fake and a finish. Ball reversal almost every time down the floor in the quarter court offense by Valpo.
Here's Evelyn. Kicks it out. Fazekas open. Can't knock that one down. The rebound goes out of bounds, and it's going to be Western Kentucky basketball. 15:43 to go. Matt Loddick's team has a 2-point lead on Western Kentucky here in the quarterfinals of the Myrtle Beach Invitational.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Visit Myrtle Beach. Relax and unwind on Myrtle Beach time.
Saturday, we've got 2 important Week 12 games for you on ABC in the Big 12 at 3:30 Eastern. Will Greer leads number 9 West Virginia against Oklahoma State and Stillwater. Then at 8 Eastern, it's 9-1, 24th ranked Cincinnati taking on 9-0 number 11 UCF. And College Game Day will be there as well. As always, you can catch both games on the ESPN app live. Rich Hollenberg, Deb Antonelli, the rest of the ESPNU crew here at the HTC Center in Conway, South Carolina, and that is third-year head coach Matt Loddick, who is trying to usher in a new era of Valpo basketball in their second season in the Missouri Valley Conference.
You know, one of the things he said to us yesterday was going from the Horizon League, which is about 28 in the RPI, to the number 8 RPI league in the Missouri Valley, and you get Loyola Chicago going to the Final Four, right? This is a big upgrade in talent for them, and he has worked really hard to put the guys on the floor that can play the way he wants them to play.
That shot blocked, and blocked again by Bassi. Blocked again by Bassi. That's 2 blocks from number 23 in white in 1 possession. They averaged 6.5 blocks in their first 2 games.
Yeah, really good anticipation, and then he comes down and gets a hard post up to get the ISO.
And the tip in by Murray.
You have that kind of activity coming off a timeout. That has got to lift your team a little bit. I thought Western Kentucky started the game a little bit flat. But you make a couple of plays like that, that's got to get your motor going.
First 5 still on the floor for Western Kentucky. Couple of subs on for Matt Loddick's Valpo Crusaders. Here's one of them, McMillan. And he knocks down his first shot. Malik McMillan, the sophomore out of Merrillville, Indiana.
They're just waiting for him to be able to turn it on. He played the last part of the season last year as a starter, and he was really starting to get it, had a terrific offseason.
Here's Anderson, gives it up to Hollingsworth from the wing. Off the mark, offensive rebound, and Jared Savage will go to the line. His first attempt at scoring points in this quarterfinal game.
Watch the bounce and the timing by Charles Bassi. He blocks it into their transition game. Kind of like the way Sagaba Kanote from West Virginia blocks the shots into their transition game. See, that can ignite your team.
We'll see Kanate and the West Virginia Mountaineers coming up in the nightcap after this contest. They're taking on Monmouth. And I would say the only difference between Sags blocking shots and what we just saw from Charles Bassi is Kanate likes to use 2 hands instead of 1 sometimes.
I think it's so important to keep it in play and not just send it in the 5th row. I mean, you can get a Sports Center highlight for doing that, but it's not worth 2 points. It could be worth 2 points on the other end, or 3.
Now Bassi and Murray both on the bench for Rick Stansbury. Get our first look at another highly touted freshman, Tolu Smith, number 0 in white. And Merrick Nelson, a sophomore out of Plano, Texas, checks in as well. Early 2-point lead for the Valpo Crusaders, courtesy of some hot shooting beyond the arc. Here's John Kaiser, 33 in goal. And Evelyn throws it away. That's a Valpo turnover and a chance to tie or take the lead for the Tops.
You know, Evelyn, that's what a leader does. He looks at McMillan, he says, my bad, but McMillan, the ball went through his hands, through his legs. You got to catch that.
Four on 4. Evelyn guarding Anderson.
See, this is where Anderson not as comfortable playing the point, but figuring it out.
Left hand, no good. Here comes Marcus Golder, reserve for Matt Loddick. Another 3-ball attempt. Off the mark, and we have a foul on Western Kentucky. Your officials tonight, Jerry Pollard, Kelly Self, and Barry Mathis, a veteran officiating crew calling this one. And for the first time tonight, we see Daniel Sacchi checking in. Number 3 in gold for Matt Loddick, as well as Derek Smith coming back in the game, who started the contest. So a little bit of a Mutt and Jeff substitution for Matt Loddick. You have the 5'9" Daniel Sacchi and the 7'1" Derek Smith. Smith's checking in at the same time. We'll have more on Sacchi coming up later.
Well, look how small the perimeter for Valpo just got, though. Let's see what they do on the defensive end, if they think they can match up with the size and length that Western Kentucky countered with.
Let's see. Here's Kaiser, surrounded by Hilltoppers. Sacchi for 3. Nothing but air.
Smith's trying to keep it alive on the weak side, trying to tap it back. Gets called for the over the back foul.
Now McMillan and Fazekas check in, and Kaiser and Smits go to the bench. So a short stint on the floor that time for Derek Smits, who's the son of former Indiana Pacer Rick Smits. And another freshman on the floor, Delano Banton, number 20 in white.
He'll run the point at 6'8" for Rick Stansbury.
And Hollingsworth got the Valpo defense up and committing the foul.
You know, when you start the season and you don't have your experienced point guard in Lamonte Bearden, everyone else gets a chance to get some reps at the point, but sometimes it puts people in positions that they're not their normal rotation. And it's going to take a little time. Rick Stansbury told us he's working through figuring out what his point guards that he has now for the 9 games that Bearden is out can do, not what they can't do.
1 for 2 from the line for Hollingsworth. He has 6, and it's a 1-point Valpo lead, but they're looking for a bucket. They've missed 6 of their last 7 field goal attempts.
I think the ball's getting stuck a little bit. When they were reversing the ball and Fazekas was on the floor, he really did a nice job of helping them space.
Fazekas, quick release off the mark. He's 1 for 3 from distance tonight.
He's had 3 good looks outside the arc, though.
The follow, Merrick Nelson. Good work under the boards from the sophomore.
Really good battle on the inside, and that's exactly what Western Kentucky has done, is crash the offensive glass. That's where their last couple of baskets have come from. 0 boards.
It's a 15-14 Western Kentucky lead. 11:58 to go in this 3rd quarterfinal of the night here in Myrtle Beach.
And Western Kentucky, with a 1-point lead, they have just pounded the offensive glass. Valpo on the run. Stick around. Hilltoppers got a 1-point lead.
I'm always thankful in November. But with college basketball serving up Feast Week on November 15th, I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my. Tune in to Feast Week, November 15th through the 25th.
Well, Feast Week is a terrific time for college basketball fans, and if you want to visit any of the Feast Week sites, they're great without college basketball. They're just made even better because of college basketball. It starts tonight. It goes all the way through November 26th. 11 days, over 100 games in places like Maui, Atlantis, Orlando, New York City, Southern Cal, and of course in Charleston and here in Myrtle Beach.
A lot of fun. This is, people set their calendars for this event. We've had a great crowd in here, especially the West Virginia fans. They have really piled in for this event. Myrtle Beach, a great destination city. Western Kentucky in a 2-3 zone off the timeout.
Why do you think they're running that?
I think they're taking advantage of their size inside and just changing it up a little bit, trying to get their rhythm going on the offensive end, because their offense is right now offensive rebounds.
Evelyn for 3. That's his 2nd triple of the night. He has 6, and Valpo back on top by a deuce.
So, Rich, Western Kentucky has missed 8 shots, and they've offensive rebounded 5 of them for 10 points of their 15. That's the story of the game right now for them. They have not run good offense, but their length on the glass has helped them to just a 2-point deficit.
Now Dion Lavender going to check back in for Evelyn, who sits down with those 2 3-pointers. Number 21 in white, Jake Omer on for Rick Stansbury. He'll inbounds under his own basket.
Watch for him to get it right back for a 3.
Instead, it's the freshman Smith who goes up and in.
Unless you can make a direct pass right there to the block. Good strong post up by Smith.
Tolu Smith, a 6'10", 240-pound freshman. Grew 6 inches last year, Deb.
That's amazing, right? You recruit the guy, he's 6'4", and then all of a sudden,
nice floater by Fazekas, his 3rd field goal of the night.
Yeah, Fazekas can really score. He really stretches the floor. Almost like playing with 4 guards on the floor right now for Valpo.
Here's Banton. And the foul's going to go on the freshman Freeman. Actually, check that. Banton gets called for the offensive foul. So it's Valpo basketball up 2, 10:44 to go in the first half. And Deshaun Murray and Josh Anderson will both check back in, as will Tavion Hollingsworth. We only have 4 on the floor right now for the Hilltoppers. So Jake Omer's going to say, I'll stay on.
See with Omar on the floor, let's see if they stay in the zone or if they pick up man. Coach Stansbury likes to change up his defense. They're staying in their man this possession. So just one possession of zone just to mix it up a little.
Fazekas not shy. Off the mark. Here comes Anderson. A lot of height in the backcourt for the Hilltoppers. Inside, Bassi. And Charles Bassi, the freshman phenom, will go to the line.
The Ulmer throws it where only Bassi can catch it. You see on the flight of the ball, Valpo brings the help right away. They're trying to turn him into a passer and make him kick it back out. We know he's already turned it over one time. And if you look at the stat sheet early in the season, he only has a couple of assists.
Bassi, a double-double against the Huskies. Followed that up with 15 points and 9 rebounds against UT Martin in their second game of the season.
You can just sense that he is starting to figure it out. Like, he posts really hard every time down the floor. I wish that could be a stat. You know, like the coaches stat that stuff. They're over there charting how hard they post and the space that's created around it.
Bassi gets that one to go. He has 3 points, all on free throws. And we've got a tie ball game at 19. Western Kentucky made it all the way to the NIT semifinals one season ago as a bit of a surprise team. They're not going to sneak up on anybody this year. Valpo seems to be ready for them tonight.
Yeah, really good execution. Josh Anderson took a gamble. A little
Saved by Omer.
Change in defense by Valpo too, this possession. Okay, watch right here. You go for the gamble, and then Kaiser does a great job of getting in the vision of Lavender. Really good cut back door. Bassi goes to help, leaves the lane to the rim open.
Inside they go to Bassi again. He can't handle it, it's out of bounds. Valpo basketball. And with Valpo back on offense, that one thing that Rick Stansbury said he was most concerned with playing the Crusaders was how smart and how well executed they are on offense. And so far we've seen touches of that.
But early on they did a great job reversing the basketball. Looks like Kaiser's gone to the mask here to start. He didn't have the mask on the last time down the floor. He got it from the bench.
Stolen away by Anderson. Wild shot, but he follows his own miss. And Josh Anderson, the most athletic player on this Hilltoppers roster, has his first 2.
Watch the play right here. Good hands by Anderson. Eyes straight up to the rim. It looks like he's a little bit off balance, and he was, but he is able to follow his own with his left hand. Again, another offensive board.
That's what having a 6'6" point guard can do for you. And then they go 6'8" off the bench, as you mentioned, with the freshman Banton at the point. Josh Anderson told by the officials to tuck in the jersey, and we're back to playing basketball. A 21-21 game. Good first half between Valpo and Western Kentucky. Good heads-up play by Anderson to Hollingsworth for 2.
What a great play, like a defensive back, right? It's defense and offensive rebounding for Western Kentucky right now. Good job guarding the throwback.
Five on the shot clock for the Crusaders. Here's the freshman Freeman. Way off the mark. Good defensive possession by Western Kentucky. Hollingsworth leading all scorers with 8 so far. Western Kentucky's made 4 of their last 5 field goal attempts. And a foul on the floor, no shot.
No one's cutting to the basketball, everyone's standing, and then this is exactly the wrong kind of pass to throw. And Anderson with that 6'6" frame, like a DB, drops it off for Hollingsworth.
Now Daniel Sacchi checks back in.
Sean Murray down 20 pounds from last year at Auburn. Really looks good. and trying to figure out how to use him. He's an undersized 4 guy who doesn't shoot the 3 that well yet. But he's working on it.
One thing that Western Kentucky does and does well, and already is doing tonight, is get to the free throw line. They are now 8 for 11 from the stripe, and last year they were plus 324 in free throw attempts. That was #1 in the country, Deb. It's
amazing. That just really tells you how hard they go to the glass, how hard they attack off the bounce.
Fazekas still can't find the bottom of the bucket, but Marcus Golder has the follow putback. Well, Ryan Fazekas has 1 3 and 8 points, but he's gone cold from beyond the arc.
1-3-1.
And a Western Kentucky turnover. Here's Kaiser in the open court. Leaves it, Fazekas underneath. Back-to-back buckets for the Crusaders. And Fazekas the first to double digits with 10.
I like the 1-3-1 by Valpo, especially with Daniel Sacchi on the floor. It's a good way to hide him where you can help on a post if you put him in the middle of that 1-3-1. Good job off your defense of being able to get an easy 2. Fazekas finishes. Western Kentucky and Valpo all tied up.
If you will. Well, Saturday and Sunday, it'll be the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off at Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. Michigan off that huge win against Villanova on the road, taking on GW, followed by South Carolina and Providence with the championship on Sunday at either 1:30 or 3:30 on ESPN or ESPN2. And interesting to note that there are a plenty of Feast Week tournaments going on as we speak and coming up after us that have loads of top 25 teams. The Maui Invitational, always a great draw with Duke, Gonzaga, and Auburn all in there. Charleston only about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes away from us with 2 top 25 teams. Virginia Tech already advanced. Purdue in the bottom half of that bracket, and the Advocare's got quality teams in it up in Orlando next week.
I'm telling you, forget about that college football stuff. Let's get rolling with some hoops now. I'm ready to go. College basketball is back, and it's good.
So we got a 25-25 ball game here, the third quarterfinal of the Myrtle Beach Invitational. UCF and St. Joseph's have already advanced in their half of the bracket to the semifinals.
Yeah, they get a mismatch inside, and they missed Bassi.
10 on the shot clock for the Tops. Savage from the corner, knocks down a 3. First points of the night for Jared Savage, the redshirt junior out of Bowling Green.
They didn't throw it into Bassi that time, but because he posts so hard, he draws so much attention. That gives Savage a chance for a catch-and-shoot corner triple. Can't give Bassi an assist for that, can you? I think I would give him an assist if I was over there on the bench with a clipboard if I was on the staff for Rick Stansberry.
Many ways to affect a game. There's Marcus Golder with some mid-range game. He's got 4.
1-3-1 again. Trying to get some help on the inside out of this defense so you can try to bring.
Nice feed inside to Bassi, and Bassi can't get it to go, but he will go back to the free throw line.
Try to bring that help and try to force Western Kentucky to the perimeter. They're killing Valpo in the paint. Offensive rebound, this kind of play right here. You can't get the help there fast enough. But Bassi earns a trip to the line.
He misses that one. He's now 3 for 5. And Western Kentucky is 8 for 12 for the line. Valpo's only gone to the line 1 time, 1 for 1.
Well, you mentioned it before. It's a big part of the way they play, a part of their DNA.
Yeah, hallmark of a Rick Stansberry team. Attack, attack, attack.
Then they get you in the bonus early, and then they're shooting free throws all game. There's
the 5'9" freshman, Daniel Sacchi. And it's a near turnover, but Jerry Pollard from the other side of the court calls a foul on John Kaiser. So with Western Kentucky in the double bonus, they'll go to the line and shoot 2.
There's a lot of contact right there, and then they call the hook and hold right there, which is an emphasis in the game. This year, the officials are really looking at that, and they're going to go over to the monitor and take a look at it. Trying to remove this from the game. It's not a basketball play to hook and hold. See how they lock arms?
Yeah, and I don't think it was intentional by John Kaiser, but the fact remains it did happen, and it was evident on Jared Savage.
Well, usually you see that on rebounds, you know, free throw line rebounds or offensive boards on a weak side.
What you're looking at is exactly what the officials are looking at right now. Jerry Pollard, Kelly Self, and Barry Mathis. Jared Savage was involved in that play, and if the call stands, he'll go to the line and shoot 2 free throws.
Well, they have the ability to upgrade this to an F1 by going over to the monitor to look at it.
Yeah, it looks like Savage got an inadvertent hand to the face as well. Well, so far with 6:09 to go and a 1-point game, who would you say has the advantage in terms of style of play and piece of play?
Well, I think Western Kentucky, I mean, they're getting points in the paint, they're on the offensive glass, they're getting to the free throw line. That's the way they play. Valpo switched up their defense. Now they're in that 1-3-1. They're trying to take away the middle of the floor and force them to the outside. But the size and length of Western Kentucky is really a challenge right now for Matt Loddick's team.
While the officials continue to talk over that last play, I want to remind you we can tip off your weekend with our star-studded NBA Friday doubleheader on ESPN. At 7 Eastern, Kawhi and the Raptors are in Boston to take on Kyrie and the Celtics. Then we take you to Milwaukee for Giannis and the Bucks hosting Zach LaVine and the Bulls. You can always watch both live on the ESPN app from anywhere. Those are 3 of the 4 top teams in the East that you'll see Friday night on ESPN's NBA action. Toronto, surprisingly enough, has lost 2 straight for the first time this season. And now explanations to both head coaches. We'll get this sorted out, as it looks like Jared Savage is headed to the free throw line to shoot free throws.
I think they upgraded it to an F1, like we said. We haven't gotten confirmation yet. The officials waiting for them to come over and tell us.
That's Jerry Pollard talking to Valpo head coach Matt Loddick.
No, they call it a common foul.
So it was a common foul. Jared Savage will go to the line. Western Kentucky is in the double bonus, so they'll shoot 2 free throws. Savage makes the first one. And makes them both. Western Kentucky with a 3-point lead, which in a game like this feels like 30. It's been nip and tuck throughout this first half. 15 free throw attempts already for the Hilltoppers.
See Fazekas running the baseline. See if they can get him on a screen down here.
Kaiser gets fouled trying to bull his way to the basket.
Kaiser did a really nice job of reading that as Savage fought over behind that screen when he saw Fazekas running the baseline.
We've had 10 ties and 6 lead changes already, Deb. It's the kind of basketball you want to see.
Competitive.
Kaiser can't make the front end of the 1-and-1. Largest lead in this game has been 5 by Valparaiso. Right now, Western Kentucky has their largest lead at 3.
And look at that matchup right there. Anderson at 6'6", being guarded by Saki.
Savage, inside-outside game from the Hilltoppers.
He's got both corners checked off early in the first half.
Now the largest lead of the game, 33-27. And how about that for a highlight reel play? Lavender to Golder.
Perfect timing to call it too. Matt Lodich does a nice job after seeing that Coach Stansberry staying in that 2-3 zone.
Savage, heat check, off the mark. The follow's good by Bassi. His first field goal of the night.
I'm telling you, John Kaiser's doing everything he possibly can to try to keep Bassi off the glass. And that is a tough challenge. Kaiser's a 6'5" junior. Bassi 6'11" with a 7'3" wingspan.
Bassi with 5. The lead is 6. Here's Saki off the mark. That's his second air ball of the night. Jump shot, maybe a little out of his range.
And take a look at this right here. Good ball fake, good ball movement. Nice screen again on the inside by John Kaiser. And then Savage again with a good look from outside, and there's that wingspan over the top for Bassi.
Savage alone again, knocks it down again.
Again, assist Bassi with a strong post up inside, forces Valpo to call the timeout.
The Hilltoppers offense is starting to get rolling. 38-29, they lead with 4:11 to go. Jared Savage has 3 triples on the night, 12 points in all, and we're back after this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge Black Friday savings.
Western Kentucky with its largest lead of the game, 38-29 with 4:11 to go in the first half. And Deb, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers are shooting 4 for 7 from three-point range, but it's the inside game that's impressed you.
Well, it's opened up the outside for them. Look at these numbers right here. They've got 14 points on 7 offensive rebounds by 6 different players. They are crashing the glass, sending 3 and 4 to the glass, and Valpo had some early breakouts in the first part of the game, but now they've not been able to get out in transition.
This is a team that finished 27-11 last year, 14-4, third place in Conference USA. They just missed out on the NCAA tournament, but went on a nice run in the NIT where they took down USC on the road, Oklahoma State on the road, and fell by 5 in Madison Square Garden in the NIT semifinals. And they are building off that. They're still a young team relatively. They only have 1 senior. That's grad student Deshaun Murray. But Rick Stansberry feels like he has reinvigorated this program. He has re-energized the fan base. They're selling out EA Diddle Arena, and we're seeing evidence of why that's happening right now in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
First of all, Diddle Arena is a great place to watch college basketball. And Bassi is starting to figure it out. That's his 3rd block. But you've got this kind of length right here at the rim. It is hard to over-penetrate. Look at the athleticism. He gets spun around and still can make a play on the ball. Look at him move his feet, the timing, the length.
He's a 6'11" freshman from out of Lagos, Nigeria.
When you've got a piece like that on the defensive end, that changes everything about the way you play. See, look, Josh Anderson right there can gamble because you know you can trust Bassi, who's got your back. Watch this, he gets spun around right here, and he stays off the contact and the timing.
He is the highest recruit ever to come to Bowling Green, and leave it to Rick Stansberry to get him, and Rick Stansberry got him because one of his assistants, Hensi Oriental, is Charles Bassi's legal guardian.
Sometimes it works out like that, huh?
Listen, there is nothing illegal about hiring anybody you want on your staff, and Oriental does scouting reports for this team and contributes just like every other assistant coach does on Stansberry's staff. And there he is, Charles Bassi's legal guardian. He says an extremely bright young man also, and one of the top 5 youngest players in all of Division I basketball. He just turned 18 at the end of October.
Yeah, he reclassified into this year's class. As you mentioned, he just turned 18.
There's Bassey on the bench.
As he develops, Western Kentucky's going to become a deep March team. You're going to watch, they were picked to win the Conference USA. You're going to watch this team really start to put pieces together. They've got depth on the inside. They've got edge containment ability because of their length.
That whistle underneath is going to go on Merrick Nelson.
I like to use that football term to talk about on the edge, on the wings. You know, you got containment, you got length.
Well, length is certainly something that the Hilltoppers have. In some ways reminiscent of a Syracuse team who obviously uses that 2-3 zone exclusively. We've seen Rick Stansbury use that 2-3 zone tonight.
Yeah, it's hard to score on it, right? We've seen Valpo struggle outside the arc. Fazekas can't get shake free for threes. He's actually had some good looks. He just hasn't knocked them down. Well, Rick Stansbury's been through it. Had some great teams at Mississippi State.
He knows how to develop pros too. Looks like Bassey could be the next one.
They had a pro day at Western Kentucky. You know, you think just the Blue Bloods have the pro days, right? No, Rick Stansbury had a pro day, and 22 scouts from the NBA show up.
The pull-up, Hollingsworth, no. Fazekas clears on the weak side. Valpo's been struggling offensively. That lob is picked off by Anderson on the back end. The one more to Hollingsworth. Got it.
When they get playing in transition, it's just almost impossible to match up with them. And the way they're shooting the three, with the way they crash the glass, they're doing such a good job at scoring. They're setting up their defense every time. Valpo's not getting anything easy.
Tavion Hollingsworth, the second Hilltopper in double digits. He now has 11 to match his number, and he's got a steal as well. And a chance at a three-point play for Tavion Hollingsworth.
That's the look right there that makes them dangerous. They just hit a three in transition. They get a trap. They get an opportunity off their defense. Beautiful floater on balance by Hollingsworth.
Tavion Hollingsworth set the freshman scoring record last season as a Hilltopper, breaking Courtney Lee's mark. He's one of only 20 freshmen to have 500-plus points and play as many minutes as he did in his freshman campaign.
Look, he is capable of playing the point for Rick Stansbury, but why would you want to put him in that position to have that responsibility when he's such a great scorer? Just keep him off the ball and let him work without the ball.
Mr. Basketball in the state of Kentucky 2 seasons ago as a high school senior. He gives Western Kentucky a 44-31 lead. Offensive rebound, Golder. And a late foul called on Western Kentucky. I really like Golder's energy on the other end.
Yeah, the 2-3 zone is so long. You can't get any paint touches, can't get any penetration and get a piece of the paint. They're forced to the perimeter, and it's really tough to rebound. So Golder's effort right there was terrific on the offensive glass.
You saw Golder, he's like a pogo stick. Matt Loddick calls him an athletic genius. Can jump out of the gym, contort his body. We already saw that on an alley-oop dunk tonight. And he has a pretty stroke from the free throw line. 8 points for Golder, and the lead is a dozen for the Hilltoppers. What does Valpo need to do defensively against Western Kentucky?
They have gone to their man-to-man. They just got to try to stay on the glass and try to force others to make shots like that and rebound. If you can keep the ball out of the inside, force them to the outside and try to make them hit jump shots.
And it's easier said than done, especially when you have someone like Deshaun Murray on the Hilltoppers team who seems to find every rebound that comes in his way and out of his way.
We've seen Matt Loddick play a 1-3-1, a 2-3. We've played man on their ball screening defense. They're going over and gapping, trying to force Western Kentucky to the perimeter. It's just tough to rebound. They crash so hard with their length.
Deshaun Murray misses that one. 1 for 2. He's 4 for 6 from the line so far tonight. And if Western Kentucky can shoot over 70% from the free throw stripe this season, they're going to be really tough to beat. Fazekas catching fire.
Yeah, Fazekas got to get hot. He's got to get hot. He made his first three. He hasn't made one since.
Here's Freeman all alone. And Javon Freeman has his first three of the night, 5 points for the freshman out of Chicago, Whitney Young High School.
As much as Western Kentucky has established the tempo of the game, it's just a 3 or 4 possession game, right? And if you just get a couple of stops in a row for Valpo off the timeout.
10-point game, 1:03 to go from Myrtle Beach. Ten-point lead for Western Kentucky, 1:03 to go here in the third of 4 quarterfinals from the Myrtle Beach Invitational.
Offensive rebounding. Take a look at this. Western Kentucky all over the glass. They're doing a terrific job. Deshaun Murray on the weak side. 7 offensive rebounds by 6 different players. Everybody's got to check out on. As Western Kentucky crashes, they send 3 or 4 to the boards. Valpo not getting any long rebounds or any opportunity to transition because they're having to take the ball out of the net.
Hilltoppers bring the ball into the front court, led by Josh Anderson, number 4 in white. Here's Hollingsworth, the leading scorer in the game. Smith off his foot, but saved by Hollingsworth. And with 4 on the shot clock, Hollingsworth drills a 3.
Wow, what a half.
17 for Tavion Hollingsworth.
Western Kentucky has had the half go their way. They've hit threes, they've crashed the glass, they've been to the free throw line. It's allowed them to play their 2-3 zone.
5-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. 10 to shoot for the Crusaders. Now 5. Stolen away by Hollingsworth. And a foul on Fazekas.
Tavion Hollingsworth, shot clock running down. Contested. And you can see Coach Loddick in the background. If you're going to pull the upset, you can't have plays like that not go your way.
And Hollingsworth misses the first one. This is a Valpo team that traveled to Myrtle Beach from Valparaiso, Indiana, without one of their big men, Jay Soroya, who led the team in blocks last year. And boy, you could tell that Matt Loddick wasn't going to use that as an excuse, but he also knew very well that he could use a big man like Soroya in a game like this.
And with not Rick Smith, but Derek Smith on the bench with 2 fouls, that takes your other 7-footer with foul trouble, and that hurts you on the boards as well. And this is a break right here for Valpo that they get a chance for an easy 2 points at the free throw line.
Fazekas gets the first one. He has 11.
You want to make Western Kentucky come back for the basketball. They only need 4 dribbles to get it up the floor. Offensive rebound from Golder. Play.
He's been terrific in that department.
What a great finish for Valpo to build a little momentum going into the break.
So we go to the half with a little bit of a run for the Valpo Crusaders, and yet they still trail by 10. Western Kentucky 49, Valparaiso 39. We'll be back at the HTC Center in Conway, South Carolina, right after this. We're back at the Myrtle Beach Invitational, halftime of the third of 4 quarterfinals, where the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers lead the Valpo Crusaders 49-39. Earlier today, there were 2 other quarterfinals played, and Charlie Brown Jr. and the St. Joe's Hawks certainly came to play.
Charlie Brown lit it up from downtown, 26 points. 16 triples for St. Joe's in the game. After this game was tied at 46 at the half. And then in the second game, that's Taco Fall passing it outside to BJ Taylor. Good balance by UCF.
Both of those teams were tied at the half with their opponents and ended up blowing them out in the second half. Taco Fall certainly established himself 7'6", and certainly no answer for that with Taco Fall and company advancing. So it will be an interesting semifinal, to say the least. A deep and experienced St. Joe's team going up against Johnny Dawkins' UCF Golden Knights, and we await to see the bottom half of the bracket with Western Kentucky up 10, looking to advance to the semifinals, and following them, it'll be Monmouth and West Virginia for the nightcap. We're back with highlights of the first half between the Crusaders and the Hilltoppers right after this. Don't go anywhere. We are back at the Myrtle Beach Invitational in Conway, South Carolina, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's across ESPN networks. In quarterfinal number 3, it's the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers 49 and the Valpo Crusaders 39. From half court of the HTC Center alongside Deb Antonelli, I'm Rich Hollenberg. We saw both teams start out the game with really good shooting. Western Kentucky started to pull away later in the first half because they continued to shoot well while Valpo went a little cold.
Yeah, I mean, Western Kentucky was terrific. They were 6 for 10 outside the arc, which meant no long rebounds for Valpo to be able to transition against the length. If you can score before Western Kentucky sets up that 2-3 zone, that would be best for Valpo moving forward in the second half.
Early on, what did you see from this team?
Well, I thought they were terrific. Ryan Fazekas hit his first 3, and that was his last 3 of the first half as he went 1 for 7. He's too good of a shooter. He's got to find some seams inside that zone and knock down some shots. Early on, the hustle of Valpo allowed them to get some easy scoring opportunities, but then it was after the transition opportunities here, they didn't see any more layups because Western Kentucky did a great job of crashing the offensive glass. You're going to look at the stat sheet and you're going to say both teams had 8 offensive rebounds, but it was the way Western Kentucky scored off their rebounds. They were able to get 7 different offensive rebounds from 6 different players early in the game. That's sending 3 and 4 to the glass. It's not allowing Valpo an opportunity to be able to get out on the break and score easy buckets.
Tavion Hollingsworth for Western Kentucky led all scorers with 15. The 5-star freshman that we talked about at the top of this telecast, Charles Bassey, limited to just 5 points, all on free throws, and just 2 rebounds.
You can see with Derek Smith back on the floor for Valpo. You see right away they go inside, get a piece of the paint, and kick for an open shot. You've got to knock down some shots, but at least they'll get a chance to get penetrating passes or at least a piece of the paint before they set up their offense.
Yeah, Smith's got the start, but was quickly shuttled to the bench after a couple of fouls. That ball goes out of bounds off Josh Anderson's leg, and it'll be Valpo basketball. First half stats, you talked about the offensive rebounds, and we also mentioned it's not that Valpo shot that terribly. 47% from the field isn't terrible, but the three-point line really tells the story.
Yeah, they've got, with Fazekas going 1 for 7, you wouldn't expect that. But I think having Derek Smith back on the floor, so now they got a post they can play through on the block and challenge Bassey a little bit.
He does, and comes up short. Front of the rim, and Bassey grabs his 3rd rebound. One thing that Western Kentucky has been consistent with in their first 3 games, including this one, as Deshaun Murray gets his first bucket in the second half, is they've had really strong first halves in all 3 of their games so far this year.
There's Smith with a tap in, offensive rebound and put back.
First 2 of the game for Derek Smith, the 7'1" redshirt junior from Zionsville, Indiana.
Trying to ice ball screens and keep the ball on the same side of the floor. Icing means you're trying to make, Freeman's trying to make Josh Anderson use that screen and stay on that side of the floor so you can really do a good job with your defensive rotations on strong side.
Valpo only had 1 game prior to this. It was 9 days ago, and it was against Division III Concordia. They waxed them 121-65, but certainly I think Matt Loddick would admit not a lot of competition yet. This is the first real test for his Valpo Crusaders.
Really good job defensively by Freeman on Hollingsworth that time.
And an open look off the mark.
Yeah, did you see how he looked at Bassi before he shot that? He was worried about the 6'11" center blocking shots.
Another offensive rebound, but nothing to show for it for Deshaun Murray. He led Auburn in rebounding last year, and he's only 6'4".
Yeah, what a terrific job of Deshaun Murray to making himself a valuable component and adding value to the front line. But how about the play of Smits? What a difference it is for Valpo when you've got that size inside.
Here's Savage. Got the bump, absorbed the contact, and gets his first 2 of the second half. 14 for Jared Savage, the redshirt junior transfer from Austin Peay. Smits feeling it. And that one went a little awry.
Well, he lost the ball on the way up, but he's trying to get over that right shoulder, that left hand.
That's a quick move, though. Ducked his shoulder, got to the cup. Murray, no. And Valpo comes away with it. It's going to be an open, easy 2 for Javon Freeman. And don't look now, but the Valpo Crusaders are back to within single digits, 53-45. Murray tried to get it inside, and the big bodies tumbled to the paint. And if that's a foul on Smits, it's going to be number 3.
Boy, now Matt Loddick has a really tough decision to make. Here's Freeman with a great stuff. Good job off their defense. You see, you're playing so well, you're getting an offensive rhythm, and then Smits picks up his third. I like Matt Loddick right here. He's leaving him on the floor to guard Bassi. Now, if I'm Rick Stansbury, I'm going right to number 23 in white.
Anderson sized it up and knocked it down. That's the first 3 of the night for Josh Anderson. And the hot shooting from beyond the arc continues for Rick Stansbury's Hilltoppers. We talked earlier about attack, 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 and yet they're making a lot of hay from the three-point strike. Speaking of, there's another 3 from Freeman, his second of the night. He's in double digits with 10.
Yeah, he's starting to heat up. Now remember, he did not practice yesterday, suffering with some flu-like symptoms.
Loose ball, and there's a foul on the floor. 15:44 to go. Valpo's come out hot, but they trail by 8. Western Kentucky up 56-48 as we take a timeout.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge Black Friday savings.
Feast Week continues this week and next into Thanksgiving, and coming up this weekend from Uncasville, Connecticut at Mohegan Sun Arena, it's the Hall of Fame tip-off bracket. 18th ranked Michigan taking on GW, and South Carolina facing Providence. And what an impressive win for the Wolverines on the road in Philadelphia, taking on the defending national champion Villanova Wildcats and taking it to them.
Really big win for John Beilein with all they lost, coming off playing in the national championship game. And there's a good look at Derek Smits. Played 2 minutes and 16 seconds in the first half with 2 fouls. He has been highly effective here in the second, although he did pick up a third. You got to trust him if you're Matt Loddick, because your rhythm of your offense and your game momentum has shifted because Derek Smits has been terrific playing on the block.
That was a Western Kentucky turnover. There's some foul trouble for Matt Loddick's Crusaders. 3 players with 3 fouls. Not even 5 minutes into the second half. Freeman, one of those players, but he's had a hot hand offensively. Can't get that one to go, and Hollingsworth comes away with it for the Tops. And he dribbles it off his leg out of bounds. An unforced error from Tavion Hollingsworth.
Back-to-back turnovers off the timeout for Rick Stansbury's team.
And that look says it all for Stansbury.
Boy, he loves the game, doesn't he? It's fun talking to him yesterday.
Yeah, he said he doesn't really have any hobbies other than riding a tractor.
Yep. He put his golf clubs away 30 years ago, he said. I said, we're in the capital, Myrtle Beach, golf. You bring your clubs. No way. I put them away 30 years ago. His favorite thing to do in his spare time, if he has any spare time, is bush hogging.
Right, that's what they call it. Get on the tractor, cut down some grass, cut down some bushes. And of course, he's a family man. He said, whatever my sons want to do,
right,
that's what I want to do.
3 boys. Wife Mio, we met her yesterday.
Strong take by Anderson. He gets fouled and will go to the line.
And that is 4 on Derek Smits.
So that experiment, or that gamble, if you will, maybe not paying off right now. 14:45 to go, and Smith saddled with his 4th foul. And immediately, Matt Loddick's going to have to go to his bench. Here's Anderson at the line. Western Kentucky's made a living at the line, but shooting under 70% as a team. So now Smits goes to the bench, as does Fazekas. Golder and McMillan check in their place.
So a lot of times in these situations, you look at the coaches and you say, you know, why not offense, defense? Why not take them out on a defensive possession? But either way, it affects the rhythm of your team. If you take them in and out for offensive possessions, or if you sit them, you had a good rhythm going.
0 for 2 for Anderson, but he gathers his own miss. And it goes out of bounds, and it'll be Valparaiso basketball. 4 turnovers in the second half for Western Kentucky already. So they are leaving the door open for Valpo and Matt Loddick and company to get back in this game. Here's Lavender on the drive.
Good take off the bounce, gets to that right hand. All you need is 2 strong dribbles to get to the cup. You get a ball reversal, and Lavender does a good job of taking up the cushion that Anderson was leaving for him. And when you're 6'6" and you got a smaller defender and you got the quicks that Anderson has, you can give a little cushion there, but you don't want to foul him at the rim.
Deion Lavender thought his Division I playing career was over after he graduated from UAB, started his career at Southern Illinois, went to UAB. He had signed with D2 Maryville until a family friend who happens to be on the coaching staff at Valpo, Todd Townsend, said, hey, we got a spot for her if you want it. Now he's a grad transfer and the only one who has 1 year of eligibility left on this Crusaders roster.
Back in the Valley from Southern Illinois.
That's right. It's actually a recurring theme here in Myrtle Beach, is teams with really just 1 graduating player. Not only is Deion Lavender representing that for Valparaiso, but Deshaun Murray is in that same role for Western Kentucky. And then after this game, we'll have West Virginia and Monmouth. They each have just 1 player with 1 year of eligibility left who gets 10 or more minutes a game. It's a young man's game.
Yeah. Nice, high off the glass. All you young players out there, when you got a shot blocker, you got to throw that thing way above the box.
All of a sudden, we have ourselves a 4-point game. Valpo not going away in this 3rd quarterfinal for Myrtle Beach. Cross pass, Savage takes it hard. He's going to be fouled. And will go to the line and shoot 2. So Rick Stansbury's Hilltoppers are back in that attack mode that we talked about
Well,
earlier. Savage
hits 3 triples in the first half, so you got to come with the long closeout. And he puts it on the floor and goes to the rim on the skip. It's a terrific job of attacking.
Crusaders in the midst of a 7-0 run. The Hilltoppers, aggressive on offense. They've gone to the line but haven't been able to convert until that free throw. 15 now for Jared Savage. Savage had 15 in that loss at Washington, 16 in the win against Tennessee Martin. He makes them both. 16 tonight for Savage, and that ties his career high. 24-10 free throw attempt advantage for the Hilltoppers. Lavender knocks down a three from the corner.
See, that pass was right in the shooting pocket for Lavender to step and catch. Step right into that triple.
Dion Lavender with his first field goal of the night makes it a one-possession ball game. 7 minutes gone by in the second half. Big rebound by Bassi. Can't convert.
I think Bassi's got to dunk that.
Chance to tie with a triple. Evelyn off the mark. Here comes Hollingsworth. Savage had it knocked away. Good work on the offensive glass by the Western Kentucky team.
The poor shot selection on the other end allows Western Kentucky to transition. Good pass. Good stick for three.
Dion Lavender, known more as a distributor, got his first triple of the night to bring Valpo to within three, but Jared Savage now has 3 straight free throws made to give him a game-high 17 points. As Charles Bassi will go to the bench for a breather.
Also sat out last year, a transfer from Austin Peay.
Five-point Western Kentucky lead.
Good kick.
Golder off the mark, offensive board to McMillan. And a fresh 30 for the Crusaders. Lavender, hesitation. Goes off the glass, the foul's gonna go on Banton. And Dion Lavender playing with some extra energy here in the last couple of minutes.
Really good change of mindset in the second half by Valpo, right? I mean, Derek Smith's helped them get established inside, going in on the interior. Now they're going off the bounce. And Fazekas is going to come back in the game, and that young man needs to get his feet under his shoulders and let it rip.
Well, he had 18 points in that first win of the year against Concordia. He was 6 for 8 from the field. But they did play an exhibition game before that against University of Indianapolis, and they lost that game, and Fazekas was only 1 for 11 in that contest. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride in the early part of this season. Another offensive putback for the Hilltoppers.
Look how wide and long that 2-3 zone is. It's hard to get into gaps.
Golder, 3 to shoot. Forces it up, short. Kaiser gets it back, but it's a shot clock violation. We have a timeout on the floor with 11:23 to go. Western Kentucky's lead has been cut to 6. They lead it 62-56. Rich Hollenberg along with Debbie Antonelli. And Deb, one of the things that coaches like about playing in tournaments like this is you can bolster your non-conference schedule, but the Hilltoppers and the rest of Conference USA are taking steps in conference to improve their standing come tournament time.
Rich, you know, it used to be the RPI. Now there's a new terminology we're using called the net, and Conference USA has come up with a creative scheduling formula. All 14 teams in the league will play the first 7 weeks, then they're going to regroup and put you in 3 groups. So they're going to go 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 14, and then the last 4 games you're going to play against teams in your group. So if you're in the top part of your league in 1 through 5, you have a chance to play teams in your league with higher RPIs or nets, and that's going to hopefully help Conference USA either get a higher seeding for their automatic bid for the NCAA tournament, or potentially, you hope, get a second team in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Conference USA has not traditionally been an at-large bid type of a league. And a big shout out to our colleague, Mark Adams, for taking the point on this.
I love it. Mark has always been an advocate for the non-power 5, if you will.
Fazekas still can't find the bottom of the net. Only one three-pointer from Fazekas, and it was the first three-pointer he took in the game.
Now, if you're a shooter, you've got to move to the next play, and you've got to be able to self-correct, okay? You can only miss a shot 4 ways: long, short, left, or right. If your elbow's under the ball, you're going to take the left and right out. Now you've got to evaluate, how are you missing shots? I think he's been short.
Have to have a very short memory if you're as good a shooter as Ryan Fazekas is. The foul puts the Hilltoppers in the 1-and-1 bonus, and Nelson misses the front end. We still have 10 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the game. Fazekas again. Too strong again.
That's long.
Here's Hollingsworth in transition. Tough to stop with that float game.
Boy, he's got a beautiful floater.
21 points for Tavion Hollingsworth. His career high is 30. It came last year against Oklahoma State.
Rick Stansberry's got a team that D's up, they've got length, they run the floor hard. Yesterday, they came out to practice with 2 cones at the midcourt stripe in what you would call the lanes, and it's an emphasis to run the lanes wide. They run hard every time.
5 to shoot for Valpo. Fazekas will. And he knocks it down as the buzzer runs out.
It only takes 1 for a shooter to get back on stroke.
That's 14 for Fazekas on his second 3 of the night. Still just a 7-point lead for the Hilltoppers.
Good help by McMillan on that potential lob.
Savage has had a hot hand. He tries it from 3 and knocks it down.
You can't lose him. You got to know where number 2 in white is.
He matches his teammate Hollingsworth with 21 points. McMillan hit one of those earlier in the game, missed that one, and the rebound to the freshman Smith. Here's Smith, and he missed the dunk.
That's like a turnover when you miss a layup like that. See, look at what it results in. A transition opportunity, put some pressure on Western Kentucky's transition D. Watch this beautiful floater. Eyes to the rim, beautiful over the front rim. And then a nice job by Nelson to drive and get a piece of the paint, the kick to Savage. You got to know KYP, right? Know your personnel. And you got it on both ends. For right now, Western Kentucky, they got to find Savage and feed him on the outside. And Valpo's got to make him put it on the floor.
Savage and Hollingsworth combined for 42 points so far. Freeman off the mark. And Smith has another rebound. Bassey's been on the bench with foul trouble, but his fellow freshman big man, Tolu Smith, logging some major minutes in the second half. Hollingsworth in the painted area.
And Smits is back on the floor with 4 fouls, so I think it's a good time. It's a dangerous decision, but while Bassey's on the bench, Matt Loddick can put Derek Smits back on the floor.
So Smits is all smiles now with his team up 10. I don't know how his guardian, Hensi Oriental, feels about that. The assistant coaches are usually not as happy on the sidelines, regardless of the score. And that's a story, we were talking about this yesterday, Deb. As a coach and as a coaching staff, I don't know if there's a coach in America who wouldn't put Hensi Oriental on his staff, knowing that Charles Bassey was coming along with that equation.
I agree with you. Any other coach given the situation would do the same thing. Turning down a talent like that, I don't think so.
Coming up on 8 minutes to go. Evelyn for 3.
See, that's a flat catch and shoot. You got to step into it.
Hilltoppers trying to push tempo. Savage got fouled trying to follow his own miss. And we have a timeout on the floor. With 7:53 to go, Western Kentucky trying to ice this one away and secure a spot in the Myrtle Beach Invitational semifinals.
As we're rolling to break, Savage in transition collects his own miss, and then you see right there on the side of the head, they're going to call Derek Smits for his 5th foul. That's it. He's gone. He had such a terrific second half start. Fouls out with 4 points. He played 8 minutes and 24 seconds in the game.
And now for tonight's game track, brought to you by Visit Myrtle Beach. It's been a two-headed monster for Rick Stansbury's Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Tavion Hollingsworth and Jared Savage combining for 42 points so far.
I mean, look at the efficiency by these two guys. They're 13 for 24 from the floor. They are 7 for 12 from the three-point line. That's a lot of good work in the backcourt for Rick Stansbury.
Western Kentucky getting the lion's share of the preseason votes as the #1 team in Conference USA. Marshall garnering a few votes as well. They have John Elmore on there. Dan D'Antoni obviously making a surprise run to the NCAAs a year ago. And
John Elmore can score.
Yeah, it's
really
anybody's guess, especially with the new scheduling that we talked about, how things are going to shape up. But one thing is for sure, Conference USA certainly is getting to be much better in terms of the eye test in basketball.
Well, the good thing for Western Kentucky and for Marshall is that they are travel partners, which means they will play twice, and then they'll both be in the top group, which means they'll play a 3rd time. And I would highly anticipate them playing in the Conference USA tournament, which would be 4 times. So that is going to help both of them with their numbers. And what you want to do if you're Rick Stansbury's club is you want to stay on that board in the NCAA committee room and stay in the conversation as long as you possibly can.
Golder went hard and went down hard and got fouled and will go to the line. Really like the energy and aggressiveness that Marcus Golder has brought to this game. Had 10 points in the first half, up until now has been held scoreless in the second half.
I think you mentioned the word before, energy and activity level has been very high off the bench. He was on the Missouri Valley Conference all-bench team last year.
Golder, a 6'6", 195 redshirt junior from out of Portland, Oregon. A JUCO transfer into this program, and believe it or not, watching him play tonight, you might not know this, but Marcus Golder was 43% from the three-point line last year. So he's got some inside-outside game to him. Crusaders shooting just 32% from the field in the second half. They looked like they were about to take a big step back into this game, only to find themselves back down 12 as Charles Bassey checks in for his fellow freshman Tolu Smith. Golder 1 for 2. And the freshman Delano Bant running the show. 6'8" backup point guard for the Hilltoppers. Inside, Bassey.
Really nice set, pinned down and then a post up. Savage, it's almost like a timing play, knowing that Bassey was going to get great position. Another good pass away from the D.
Bassey got whacked on his hand. Nice touch on the free throw there, giving him 6 points. Only 1 field goal so far tonight for Charles Bassey.
He catches everything. He moves his feet. He's not afraid of the post-up contact inside. And he works every possession. I haven't seen him take a possession off posting up on the interior.
And that's half the battle, especially with an 18-year-old. Right?
And if you're a guard, you better appreciate that. And once in a while, you better throw it in there. I think he's too nice.
Evelyn for 3. That's the third three of the night for Bakari Evelyn, giving him 11.
Look at Valpo hanging around now, back to single digits in a 3-possession game. Now, can you get 3 consecutive stops?
Here's Omer. He's a 3-point specialist. 10 to shoot for the Hilltoppers. Now 5 on the shot clock. Omer wide open, corner. And a foul on Western Kentucky. We're going the other way.
Big triple right here to get it to single digits and allow Valparaiso to set their defense.
Bakari Evelyn was voted a Missouri Valley Conference all-newcomer last year, led the team in minutes and assists. Chipping in tonight with 11 points.
It's going to be back-to-back fouls, I think, for Nelson Rich.
And immediately Merrick Nelson will take a seat on the bench, and Deshaun Murray will check back in his stead. So more free throws for Marcus Golder, who has 11 points on the night. Some balanced scoring from Valpo, who really went through some serious growing pains last year in their first season in the Valley. Finished last. It was the first time in 8 years they missed the postseason. They were so dominant in the Horizon League and really took their lumps in their first year in the Valley, but things are certainly looking up for Matt Loddick and company, especially when you consider they only have that one player graduating after this season.
I have so much respect for the coaches in the Valley. I think that's a terrific coaches league. You got to develop talent. You know, you got to coach them up. You got to be able to game adjust. Coaches in the league, too talented.
Well, that's a couple of freshmen with some miscommunication there, Banton and Bassi, and that's another Western Kentucky turnover. No field goals in the last 3 minutes for Rick Stansbury's club. What's that a function of?
I'm looking at Coach Stansbury, and I know he's wondering, like, what were you doing on that play? Charles Bassi hadn't had a touch in a while. I'd play through him right now without Smits on the floor.
Golder. Evelyn tried to get it over Bassi, and he got a fingertip on it.
Look at that athleticism. Quick off his feet. Corrals the rebound. He's learning the timing of his post up. Little step up screen and a roll to the bucket. I like watching number 2, 3 and White work.
Murray, surrounded by Crusaders, still gets it up, but it doesn't go in.
Yeah, no, that's a poorly advised pass. That's in transition. There's nothing there.
Now Josh Anderson content to walk it up this time with under 5 minutes to go. And an impressive stat to note at this point with Western Kentucky up 72-65. In the Rick Stansbury era in Bowling Green, Kentucky, the Hilltoppers are 37-1 when they have a lead with 5 minutes left.
This is where you're trying to use some time. You're getting deep into the shot clock and you don't have a natural point guard on the floor. Another turnover.
That's the 7th turnover this half for Western Kentucky.
I would keep playing. This is where you miss Bearden, an experienced point guard, and this is what Coach Stansbury's dealing with. He's going to get the timeout and talk to his team. They look like they're trying to take the air out of the ball, and I'm not sure that that's the right idea.
We have a timeout on the floor with 4:29 to go. Valpo doing their best to hang tight. 72-65, Hilltoppers maintain their lead. Well, we talk about a lot of great coaches in the Missouri Valley Conference. How about the great coaches in this 8-team field here in Myrtle Beach, Deb?
How'd you like to take this group and stack them up against the ones down there in Charleston and play a little full court, a little 5-on-5? Got some shooters, got some post-up players.
There's a lot of wins on the sidelines in the 8 that we just saw there. Stansbury in his 17th season as a head coach. Of course, we'll see Bob Huggins going up against King Rice and Monmouth with his West Virginia Mountaineers. All Huggy Bear is 3rd among active coaches in wins and 7th all-time in that department. He's sneaking up on Jim Calhoun for that number 6 spot.
Yeah, 845 wins, I believe, is the number. Working on 846 later on.
Rich Hollenberg, Deb Antonelli, and the rest of the ESPN crew. Quarterfinal number 3 of 4 from the Conway Center, or the HTC Center in Conway, South Carolina. It's the Myrtle Beach Invitational, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. And we've got an intriguing final 4 minutes here with Valparaiso trying to hang in there against Western Kentucky.
Really good D by Western Kentucky. They go to man-to-man, and Valpo goes to their 5-out offense. Can't get anything off the bounce. I know Coach Stansbury likes that zone defense, but boy, they'd be a really good man-to-man defensive team if they wanted to dig in.
Anderson hands it off to Bassi, who's got his first field goal of the second half. 8 points for Bassi.
Good pump fake.
And it looks like Lavender might have rolled an ankle.
You know, he was
Either
bothered
that or
by
he
a cramp.
Yeah, he was cramping earlier. It might be just that. And we've got a timeout on the floor as Dion Lavender will get 10-2 on the Valpo sideline.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Visit Myrtle Beach. Relax and unwind on Myrtle Beach time.
Joe Tess and company on the call for that Monday night matchup, but we have some terrific college basketball for you here as part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. Western Kentucky hanging on to a 9-point lead right now over Matt Loddick's Valpo Crusaders. 3:19 to go from the Myrtle Beach Invitational. It's going to be Western Kentucky basketball, and they're going to have to go the length of the floor. And Valpo, Deb, showing a little bit of full court pressure for the first time tonight.
I think you got to make sure you know where Savage is when you pick your tempo up. You can't allow him to shake free for a 3. There he is.
Savage on the wing. Got it!
That's what I just said. You cannot lose number 2.
A game-high 25 for Jared Savage as he knocks down another triple, his 5th of the night.
Anderson can see over the top of that trap off that ball screen. That's where 6'6" and a point guard can give you some vision. Beautiful stroke by Savage to knock it down.
Jared Savage is a young man who does not shy away from a big moment. The first time I saw him play in person, he was a freshman for Austin Peay in the OVC tournament. And that team, that Colonels team, had to win out just to have a chance to make the NCAA tournament as an 8 seed. They did, and Savage had 24 points in the championship game as a freshman.
So he, along with Deshaun Murray, have NCAA tournament experience.
So the 3 by Savage puts them up by double digits again. They're looking to advance to the semifinals and join St. Joe's and UCF, who both advanced by large margins. St. Joe's was tied with Wake Forest at the break and ended up beating them by 20. And UCF ran away from Cal State Fullerton in the second half as well, 68-52. Following this game, please stay tuned and join us on ESPNU for Monmouth and West Virginia as well.
Jared Savage, huge game outside the arc. Really showing his versatility on the offensive end at 6'5". He's been able to get to the rim. He's been able to make free throws as well.
Here's McMillan.
Great challenge. Golder is guarding Savage.
Starting five on the floor. It's closing time for the Hilltoppers. Anderson goes window for that floater.
Oh, they missed McMillan at the rim.
And there's Marcus Golder with another bucket. 15 for Golder. 10-point game coming up on 2 minutes to go. A spot in the semifinals on the line for the Hilltoppers. Good hands by McMillan.
Hollingsworth, he waited too long. He was open. Got to throw it in there.
Deb Antonelli advocating for the big
Well,
freshman.
you know, I love guard play, but I'm just telling you, if you're going to work that hard every possession down the floor, you deserve to be rewarded with a ball once in a while.
A nice screen by Bassi frees up Hollingsworth, and another bucket for Tavion Hollingsworth with 23.
I was trying to tell you before, Rich. Bassi's too nice.
Here's Hollingsworth with the steal and an easy deuce. And now he matches Jared Savage for game-high honors, each with 25. And Western Kentucky with a spurt out of the timeout. Lead by 14.
That's what good teams do. They take a 7-point lead off the timeout, and Savage hits the triple, and now it looks like they can put the game on ice. Look at Jared Savage doing a great job of catch and shoot in the first half. Deshaun Murray doing a nice job of playing inside out. Savage stepping into a triple. Beautiful.
5 for 9 from 3 is Jared Savage, the 6'5", 200-pound redshirt junior who grew up right down the road from Western Kentucky, decided to start his college career at Austin Peay, realized that the grass isn't always greener, decided to come back home, sat out a year, and now he's one of the top scoring threats in Conference USA. And alongside Tavion Hollingsworth, he's leading this game with 25 points.
Well, I know that Matt Loddick is not going to make a lot of excuses, but Fazekas didn't have a good shooting night. Derek Smith's in foul trouble. Freeman not 100% based on having some flu-like symptoms yesterday.
It looks like Western Kentucky, with 1 minute left, will advance to the semifinals and await the winner of West Virginia and Monmouth. 5 on the shot clock. Hollingsworth squeezed a 3, no good, out of bounds. Valpo ball. Hollingsworth, coming off a 27-point effort in their win against UT Martin, has 25 tonight. Loose ball, Golder comes away with it.
Golder's gotten every loose basketball off the rim. He's got a lot of hustle plays. He's hit the deck several times.
And a Western Kentucky foul.
You know, Western Kentucky really did a good job with their defense. I'm sure Coach Stansberry is going to be pleased with the way they've mixed up their man and zone. And the way they put pressure on Valpo, didn't let them just run their stuff. Got them in foul trouble by their attacking off the bounce, their ability to offensive rebound. All those things are things that hustle plays and extra effort, extra possessions coaches like. I'm sure he'll be really pleased with the way his team played tonight.
Yeah, we talk so much about Western Kentucky and how adroit they are offensively, but defensively they held Valpo to 33% from the field in the second half.
They're long, they're deep on the back row. Their guards can keep people in front. To block shots with Bassi at the rim.
And now Josh Anderson content to dribble this one out. Western Kentucky will improve to 2-1 on the year, and they've punched their ticket to the semifinals of the Myrtle Beach Invitational with an 83-71 win over Valparaiso. 25 points for Jared Savage, 25 for Tavion Hollingsworth. And now Western Kentucky awaits the winner of Monmouth and West Virginia, which is coming up in about 20 minutes right here on ESPNU. So our final score, Western Kentucky beats Valpo by 12. For Deb Antonelli and our entire crew, I'm Rich Hollenberg. We'll be back with more from the Myrtle Beach Invitational in about 20 minutes when it's the Monmouth Hawks and the West Virginia Mountaineers. College Basketball Live is coming your way next.